I do want to address just a few things here before we get to questions. Certainly with Coach Leach passing, what a wonderful guy. I really enjoyed our conversations, and our thoughts and prayers are out to his family and to the Mississippi State fan base, players, and all the people that he affected in his life, and certainly his family. Hunter and I, we're going to just practice on Tuesday, get a little bit earlier so we can go give the man and his family the respect that they certainly deserve, and just a wonderful, wonderful person, and I sure was glad that he was in my life. We hired Ben Souders as a strength coach. I think you guys may have interviewed him. I've been here for a couple of weeks. A lot of energy. The kids seem to really enjoy him and his work, and I'm really excited about that. We hired Morgan Turner as our tight end coach. I felt like he was as good as any tight end coach in the country. Certainly, his resume with 8 guys that he's coached in the league, I think 7 of those 8 drafted. I think it speaks for itself, and we're ecstatic that we have a good coach for these guys at tight end. We'll practice today, tomorrow, over the next 12 days before the game. We will practice 9 of the 12 days. We'll go shells today. We probably won't really get into Kansas prep until Monday. All our coaches have been on the road. We have had one practice, but we'll have today and tomorrow, and it will be basically us versus us, and then get a little bit into Kansas starting on Monday. The defensive coordinator hire, we're closing in on that. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do as far as announcing that. I think I'm weighing our program possibilities of hurting our recruiting versus hurting somebody else's, some other universities' recruiting. It is so close to signing date. So I'm closing in on that. I just don't know when I'm comfortable with making a decision as far as when to announce that. Again, I'm weighing a lot of things for our university and our players first and foremost, and others as well. So I think that's where we're at right now, and be happy to answer any questions.
Is December your new favorite month with you said it was going to be chaotic, but with the transfer portal, recruiting, coaching changes, preparing for a bowl game, I mean, is this sustainable?
No, I don't. I think some time frame from the NCAA has to change. I think it's a lot right now, but everybody's having to deal with it. Certainly when you add, and I'm happy for Barry that he, got a head coaching job at UNLV, and I'm happy for Dow that he got a coordinator job from a tight end coach. But that adds to it as well. You're not only flying around the country trying to see guys. I like what we did, Trey. In other words, we went out and tried to hit all 23 commitments the first week, between the Friday, the first day out, and the commitments the first week, so we could kind of fly around to different portal guys, and make that a priority as well. But adding, you're trying to hire 2 coaches, that adds a little bit to it. Adding that you're in a bowl, which we're very happy we are, adds a little bit to it. And then the portal, kids, there's a lot going on in the portal, and the portal taketh and it giveth. And that's just what happens. We try to keep every kid that certainly on the team. But if they feel like there's a better opportunity for them out there, then, it's like anything. If somebody wants to get in the portal, then if your wife wants to get in the portal, it's hard to bring her back. And at some point you're going, okay, I'll go replace her. And so you kind of have to have that mindset, because then it becomes just woe is me. And our mindset is whomever decides they would like to do that, we certainly love them. We want them to stay, but if they decide to go, then our mindset is we're going to go replace them. And that's where we're at with all those things.
I think we can understand most of the guys that enter the portal with playing time and things like that. We already talked about Miles Slusher, but were you surprised by Trey Knox and Ketron Jackson, their decision? And I know everybody's losing players for various reasons, but for guys,
a little bit, a lot of factors go into that, other schools, NIL. There's a lot of factors, not getting enough balls, all kinds of stuff goes into that. And we'll certainly support those guys any way we can. But, once you go in the portal, obviously I've said before that you can't come back. And that's, certainly you have to change your mind a little bit on that as far as maybe trying to get somebody back, as long as it's a reason not other than Arkansas is not good enough for me. Obviously, nobody wants a coach, a player, anybody that feels that way. They need to go. But I've changed a little bit more. We haven't brought anybody back lately in the portal, but I've changed a little bit because some of these guys, there's a lot of different things going on out there. A lot of phone calls to coaches, all this. A lot of stuff going in NCAA that certainly that I would consider not necessarily up on the up and up. And so you confuse these kids' minds by what could happen, and certainly they can catch 1,000 balls and make this kind of money and all that kind of stuff. It's confusing for a young man. It's not fair for him. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Coach, the last time we talked to you, you sounded kind of confident that you're going to have both your coordinators for the bowl game. Did it catch you off guard at all that Barry left? And what was your reaction when he got the head coaching job at UNLV?
Well, the last part I was really happy for him, and I'm happy for UNLV. I mean, they got a really good coach, really good man. Catching me off guard, UNLV did. Tulsa, Tulsa. That's I knew about Tulsa and all that kind of stuff. Not a whole lot about UNLV, but no, I was kind of prepared for that because I knew that he had opportunities, and certainly if he wanted them, I wanted him to get them, and so no, not really. It's very difficult, like what Trey's talking about. You lose your defensive coordinator. What now? Week and 3 days ago, or whatever, a week and 2 days ago, and you lose him, and you're getting ready to go into a home visit. You're going to lose him. So how are you going to talk to the kids? And what I did was I took the parents aside and just said, hey, tomorrow coach is going to be the new head coach at UNLV, and they want to keep it quiet. You worry about other programs, you got to worry about your own first. And so yeah, it a little bit, but Dow's was not necessarily a surprise. I talked to Shane. He had called me and talked to him, so that wasn't really a surprise.
And it sounds like you're kind of closing in on that defensive coordinator. So I don't know how you could answer this, but I'm curious what you were looking for in a defensive coordinator. Do you like the veteran, experienced guy like you had with Barry, or are you more flexible because you're more comfortable having the experience you have now, or what direction were you looking to go for with that hire?
Well, I want, and when you answer questions like this, sometimes it's taken as you're knocking the past. I'm not, by any way. I'm very happy, but we need a guy that can recruit. I think that's a big part. I'll never forget when I went to Georgia, Kirby said, you got to change your room. You have to. And especially with the portal going on right now, you've got to have somebody that can recruit. I'd like to have somebody that's multiple. I'd like to get to a four-man front more. And I think that our strengths go to that a little bit more now than what we were in the past. And I want I want a good man, one that gets along with his staff, that players respect. And I'm looking for I'm looking for some aggressiveness out of that coordinator. But I think I said recruiting, coaching, those two things are big. And then what kind of person is he? Will he be able to go get players, and will he be able to keep them? And you're not be able to keep all of them. I get that. I don't believe any school's keeping all of them, but that's what I'm looking for. And I think I've found it in 2 or 3 guys, to be honest with you.
Your wide receiver room has undergone some transformation since the last game. Matt looked good to stay on playing the bowl game. And who all else does KJ have to throw to?
Well, he's got he's got Bakke, and he's got Bryce Stevens, and he has Jaden Wilson. And let me think here. Who am I missing? Young guys. Bakke, I talked about Sategna. Yeah, got him. So we're a little short there in numbers. Really in playing experience. We went out and won the Outback Bowl last year without Burks. We did not just light it up in the air as well. I think we were like around 100 yards. But it's time. Landon Rogers. It's time for these guys. Chris Harris is a guy that can go. Harper Cole. It's time for these guys. We talked about it being next year, and I know we've got a couple of young guys coming in, and then certainly we have to go in the portal there. Not necessarily to put these guys on a bench. Just we don't have very many on scholarship. So there, and then of course Hudson Henry's going to play in the bowl, and backs, and we found out today the NCAA or yesterday passed a rule with Tyrus Washington where your 5th game would not count towards eligibility numbers, so he'll be able to play, which we were holding him at 4, so he'll be able to activate and play as well. I think that was a great rule, especially with the numbers are down probably for a lot of teams, and I think that was a great rule.
Hey, thanks for telling us that. You saved us a question. Linebacker position. Will Jordan Crook maybe be a starter? And what about the whole rest of the position? Any guys that you would play that might happen got a lot of playing time?
Well, I think Manny Powell would be a guy, certainly. Brooks Both is a guy as well. And of course, Woodard's played special teams all the time, so he'll have to move up to that 3 or 4 linebacker spot. But I think, you have Pooh and Crook, and those 2 guys will, and with Manny Powell and Woodard, that would probably be your 4 guys there. And of course, Caden Henley's going to have to step up as well.
Hey, Coach, status of Torian Carter, Jalen St. John moving forward?
Jalen St. John still suspended indefinitely, and Torian Carter will not play in the bowl game.
Is that due to injury or
It
eligibility?
Is. No, it's just we talked about it. I sat down and talked to him about it, and I just don't know. Dave didn't feel like he was really going to be ready, fully. He's moving, running, doing some great things. But if you think about it, if you can hold him one more game, then that allows him to have certainly another 3 months of healing. And it hadn't been the 9 month usual deal. And so between myself and Torian, we decided that that'd probably be the smartest thing to do with him.
With recruiting is about relationships. Obviously, you say that all the time, but it's also about money now. And
yeah, it is.
And do you feel like you guys at Arkansas have the resources from an NIL standpoint to build a quality roster? Because so much of it comes down to that, and I don't know how the inner workings work with like, hey, we can get you this or that. I don't even know if you can even say that stuff.
Yeah, you can't. But yes, we have resources here. There's certainly universities out there that have a lot more than we do, some that have a lot less. But we do have the resources, and I still don't believe in buying players. I believe in somebody that wants to come to the university, and then you talk about, what they might be able to do in their name, image, and likeness program. But yeah, the way of football going right now is disturbing a little bit.
We get more questions from parents about that and homes.
Just every one of them. Other than that, no. I mean, it's a thing of the world. Now, listen, I don't want to sit here and act like we're not prepared for that, or that we don't have anything here at Arkansas. We do, and we have adjusted with that and those things. But yes, it's a conversation in everyone that you recruit.
You talked about you've kind of changed the rule on coming back. Do you have somebody that's in the portal that may be wanting to come back?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I just think right now when someone's trying to get one of your players and it's not real, I don't know if it's fair to the guy to go in the portal thinking this, and then it becomes not real. And if they'll make up what they missed, and if it's not leaving Arkansas because Arkansas is not good enough for them, then we'll have that conversation. But no, I don't have anybody right now.
I know you can't comment on, but you've got 3 commitments in the portal right now. What are the priorities beyond what you have? And like I said, I know you can't comment on them, but what's beyond? What's the biggest needs beyond that?
Well, I think we need to add some receivers. I think where we are tight end wise, I believe we may need to add a tight end. We're still looking for a premier pass rusher, possibly. That would be my least concern right there, right now. I believe we need some veteran linebackers, and certainly we need some more players in the secondary. Again, you asked a question, I answered it. That's not to say that we don't have good players on our team, and I explained it to our team that way as well. As we continue to go, it's not necessarily looking for. It's not a guy that has to come in and start and that. But we've learned a lesson last year at a lot of positions that you have to improve your talent because of injury, and we got a little bit of problem because of that last year at times.
Like y'all were able to move pretty quick with getting Morgan Turner. How did that come about? Did you have a relationship with him, or?
I had talked to Coach Shaw, and talked to Morgan's dad, Ron, and talked to the D coordinator at Stanford. I talked to a lot of people, and I to be honest with you, once I saw his resume and Stanford and what he had done out there, I wanted to hire him, but I couldn't find a reason not to. It would be hard pressed to me to have a tight end coach that's had more success with tight ends than him, and so I really liked him. I was out on the road. You guys know where I were. They were tagging the plane or whatever you call that. So I did not. So the poor guy at Maryland, I did not interview him for the job. I felt terrible. I'm sure his coach was running in there going, "What's going on?" But I was up to see a couple of recruits, and then I flew down, and Coach Turner was in Miami recruiting, and I'd hired him that day, and I said, "Well, we'll just come down there and pick you up." So that's what we did.
I know you can't talk specifics with the recruiting or whatever, but you've got some pretty good tight end commitments. I guess he went and saw him. Was he well received? Does having a guy like that of his caliber give you confidence you're gonna be able to keep those guys?
Well, I think it did on all of them. To be honest with you, we're trying to hold on to guys going and visiting. Guys that have been recruited by us for a long time, and I don't know if we're going to be able to hold on to every one of them from not going to a visit, but I think at least a couple of them won't, and they'll be here for us. But I think he made a nice impression on from talking to the parents after he left. I sent Kendall with him. I just didn't want to send him in there by himself, which is another problem with what's going on right now, because instead of going out and seeing the high school kids right now, you're either going to the portal. If you lose a coach, you're going to the guys. You know, it's a lot of things going on. Everybody's dealing with it, but will it hurt high school recruiting? I believe I believe that it will, and it is.
I don't think I've seen this anywhere, but what's the game plan for who's going to call defense in the bowl game and be the defensive coordinator?
It's a great question. I had it written down right here, but Mike will call the game. He'll call the game, and we'll go from there. But he'll call the game.
He's actually really tight with Barry. I mean, he's Barry's guy, so to
Yeah.
speak. So there's been speculation maybe he'll go be Barry's DC. Is
That'd
that
be good for recruiting, wouldn't it? Nice question.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Let's get it out there.
What's going on? Well, I'm sure you get asked. What's going on with that? Do you expect to retain Michael, or he might go with Barry?
I hope so. Barry has not spoke with me about it, and as of today, Mike hadn't talked to Barry about it. Certainly we want you guys to do what's best for them and all that, but it's just like I've told the recruits, Mike Shear has a job here as long as he wants one, and I think he likes it here.
Why'd you decide him? He's obviously a young guy. You have some other guys with. Why'd you decide Michael, and what do you think he brings to that situation?
Well, I had talked to Barry, to be perfectly honest with you, and I talked about, and they're kind of doing it by committee, because I have Deke, who's done, and you have Bowman, and but talking to Barry, he just felt like, and I asked him, because that's kind of how I felt that Mike would be the guy to call the game and organize it, but they're all in there working together and all that. Michael just happened to be calling the plays that they've all decided. You know how it is. You decide what you're doing, and then you look on the thing and you call it, and you have to have a little bit of sense of what they're getting ready to do and those things. But that's really why I just talked to Barry about it. And that's really, honestly, that's how I felt about it too. So I was kind of just wanted to be confirmed.
Any update on Jalen Catalon?
I had a talk with him today. I think he's leaning towards going into the portal. But I don't believe it's that he has yet or anything of that nature. But from my conversation with him today, that he was leaning towards going into the portal.
Is that just wanting a fresh start? Is it something with Barry Odom, or?
No, I don't. I just think that from my conversation, he'll have to tell you, but I think he just wants a fresh start. And I talked to him about, if he was going to leave here, that if he wanted my advice, I would just declare for the NFL and give it that type of chance. But he had a different view on it, and whatever he wants to do, we'll be fine with it. But as of my conversation this morning with him, I think that's probably where he's leaning. I just don't know if he's gone in yet.
Obviously, this is a tough business. You've had to let coaches go in the past and stuff. Yeah. I'm curious though on the timing with Walker right after the Missouri game. Mm-hmm. Did you just feel that was something that needed to be done and had been planned, or just thoughts on your timing with Byron Walker then?
Well, first of all, he's a good man and a good coach and all those things. I just thought that we weren't as strong as we needed to be, and we just need to make a change. And it wasn't anything personal, and he did a nice job for us. But I wanted to answer your question. I wanted all that to happen before Monday, and that's the only way I knew how I could guarantee that happened before the kids got back in the building on Monday.
Just a couple more personnel. You've got McLaughlin hasn't. A lot of people think he might be a guy that think about the future. Zach Williams, Luke Jones, Nathan Bax, Terry Hampton, Isaiah Nichols, Simeon Blair, Trent Gordon. That's a lot of names, but possibilities to come back as super seniors. Do you think you're going to have a lot of super seniors next year?
I think on that list of guys you just said, I think the majority of them will come back. I don't believe Luke Jones will. I think we've had that talk, but you went kind of quick on that. But I think the majority of the guys you just mentioned will come back. Minus Luke. Luke's not going to come back, but I think the rest of them will.
He's playing the bowl game.
Absolutely.
That's one thing. The rest of the staff, you feel
Comfortable with wanting to retain the rest of the staff, and the rest of the staff will be here next year.
Yeah, I feel really good about our staff, and certainly whomever the defensive coordinator is, we'll sit down and talk. But we have a position open, for him, and obviously I feel good about all our guys.
Thanks, Coach.